80% of people who lose weight during a diet will go on to regain the same weight within a couple of years. So is it even worth putting in the effort to lose it in the first place, or should you give up before you even start? So in this video, I'm going to tell you about my own personal experience during a bodybuilding diet, and also about the lessons that it taught me that have helped shape how I coach hundreds of clients from there onwards, taking them through a similar process, but trying to avoid the mistakes that I made during my own diet. And by the end of this video, you'll know what to expect to happen when you're trying to get into the shape of your life, and also how you can overcome the vicious cycle that gets people caught between losing and regaining the same weight over and over again for many years. So it was around about May 2018. I was waiting backstage at my first ever bodybuilding competition, which is like this weird mixture of both nerves, but also the most excited you've ever been in your entire life. And I'll never ever in my life forget the feeling that you get when you're next in the queue and they say, and on stage next, Conor Cumberpatch. And I'm like, the surge of adrenaline. I blacked out basically. I can't remember much about being on stage. I imagine it's like the same feeling a footballer gets when they walk through the tunnel and you go from like a confined space, nothing around you, then all of a sudden the whole entire stadium opens up in front of you. I imagine it's the same sort of feeling. It was so bizarre but amazing at the same time. 5 months of graft led to that point. 5 months of really, really hard and intense dieting. But little did I know about the cliff edge that I was standing on, that I was about to nosedive straight off. By the way, if I'm looking clammy, it's like 32 degrees in the UK right now. And I can't have the fan facing me because this microphone picks up all the noise. Now, the problem with this was the first ever proper diet I'd been in, which you can say I definitely chucked myself in at the deep end. But the actual difficulty of the diet was never the problem. I was so hyper focused on this day. I was like dialed into my routine. And it was actually that tunnel vision that would bite me in the arse down the line. For the 5 months before the show day, every waking minute of my life was committed to that show. I'd wake up, I'd do my morning cardio, I'd go to work, I'd eat, I'd train, I'd prep the following day's food, and then I'd do it all again. And every single day was just that on repeat for 5 months straight. And I become so focused on that one date, I never once thought about what was to come afterwards. Like imagine this, imagine you book the holiday of a lifetime to Disneyland and you meticulously plan your travel, you plan your journey to the airport, you plan your flights. Every single day when you're there has got an itinerary. The 14 days that you're on holiday are planned down to the minute. And then the day comes where you've got to check out and go home. And you check out the hotel and then you realise that you've not even booked a flight home and you've not sorted a taxi to the airport. You've done literally nothing. That is kind of how it felt for my bodybuilding show. And it's pretty much what most people do when they go into a diet. They become so focused on, for me it was a bodybuilding show, for you it might be a holiday, it might be a wedding. Everything that you do is committed to that day. And then when it's been and gone, you're a bit like, oh, now what? And I'll tell you what, before we do get into the solution, by the way, which is coming next, I want to paint the picture as to how bad it can get if you don't have what I'm about to show you in place. My lack of planning and knowing what was to come after the diet cost me literal months. Because to me, what started off as like a week of normality. I'll have a week off the diet, I'll have a week off training, I've been working so hard for 5 months, I deserve this. And quite rightly so, I did. But then that week turned into 2, and then 2 weeks became a month. And before I know it, you're looking at about sort of between 6 and 8 months. Nothing, no structure. I was trying to go to the gym, but I couldn't get into it. My diet was non-existent. I was just in like a bit of a rut. And in fact, it plunged me so deep into a rabbit hole that I literally left the industry. I worked in the gym, I was doing coaching, I was doing personal training, and I lost my love for it that much, and I lost my direction that I left. I went to go and get a job in recruitment. Like I didn't know what to do with myself. And it was so weird because a process that had me the most motivated and dialed in that I've ever been in my entire life literally chewed me up and shipped me back out again in the space of like a day. And to cut a long story short, after floating between, I did the recruitment, I went back onto the site for a little bit. Eventually I got another job working in the gym, and that kind of got me back in that environment and finally starting to flow a little bit again. And from that moment onwards, when I got back into the fitness space, my only mission as a coach was to teach people how to get in shape, yes, but teach people how to stay in shape, the bit that comes after the diet. And through my own research of going through many diets afterwards and applying it to clients that I was working with, I found a system that solves this problem for good. And not only does it work with hundreds of people that I've worked with over the years, but more recent times for me, I did a photo shoot prep last year where I dieted down for a photo shoot, and it's helped me stay within about 3 to 5 pounds of that photo shoot weight almost a year later. So this shit works pretty well. And it's what I like to call the bridge phase. Think back to when you were a kid, or if you've got kids now, think of this point here. When you're teaching a kid to ride a bike, you obviously put stabilizers on the bike at first. Let them get used to the stabilizers, let them get a bit of confidence. And after that, you take the stabilizers off, but you're staying very, very close. And you're running alongside them when they ride to make sure they're nice and stable. You're there if they need you, kind of thing. And you keep doing this whilst they're building confidence on the bike. And then eventually, after a gradual process, you let them go. Let them ride off into the sunset, and off they go. They're riding the bike. And this is effectively what you need to do with your diet. This is the bridge phase in a dieting sense. You take the time to gradually come out of the diet, and you slowly get to a point where you can return back to normal life where you can eat more calories and be a bit more relaxed without there being like a massive consequence compared to if you did that straight away in the diet. If you stop dieting here and then went back to normal, you regain everything. Whereas if you stop dieting here and you take the process to gradually build yourself back to normality, you can do it. And if you don't do that, it's effectively like going from stabilizers on the bike, then all of a sudden in the blink of an eye, taking them off, here you go, here's a mountain-like hill, down you go. The kid's gonna come off with some bumps and bruises, and it's the exact same thing. So the question is, how do you actually put the steps in place to go through a bridge phase? Well, the first step is that you've got to establish your end of diet numbers. So when the diet is coming to an end, look at where are your current calories, where are your steps, where's your cardio? And the first thing that you want to do is you want to bump your food up a little bit. By around about 300 calories or so initially will be a good number. So let's just give it a round number for argument's sake. Let's say you're eating 1,700 calories per day at the end of your diet. First thing you'll do immediately the following week is bump that number up to 2,000 calories per day. Now, the reason that I go for increasing food first rather than bringing cardio or steps down is because at the end of a diet, the first thing you're thinking about is food. You're so food focused and craving things that bringing steps and cardio down first isn't really the ideal goal. You don't get to the end of a diet and think, oh God, I can't wait to do less steps. You think about, oh my God, I can't wait to eat this, this, and this. So bring your food up first, in my opinion. And then from there, just simply assess how your body responds. At the end of the diet, you've hit a certain body weight. You increase your food by 300 and you assess day by day how your body weight moves. Now, in an ideal world, that body weight will either continue to come down or it will stay pretty stable. And then once things are stable, you then increase it by another 100 calories. And you do that again for a week. And your goal is to increase a little bit, let the body weight be stable, increase a little bit, let the body weight be stable, and just rinse and repeat week on week. And this is what I did at the end of my photo shoot last year. I was on 1,500 by the end of it. It was fucking rough. And then week on week for about an 8-week period, I finished my photo shoot and I was going away 8 weeks later on holiday. And I wanted to be lean, but I wanted to be on more calories so I could enjoy the holiday without feeling like I'm gonna come back just dead bloated and feeling shit. So over the course of 8 weeks, I did the exact process that I mentioned a minute ago. And I got my food from 1,500 to 3,000 in the course of 8 weeks. And I was only £2 above my photo shoot weight. So because of the process that I followed, I doubled my food and I was £2 above photo shoot weight. Felt really good, felt lean, I felt fuller in my muscles so I could push harder in the gym. And I went away, enjoyed myself, came back, same body weight. And because I went through that process, now fast forward a year, I went on holiday. We had Christmas in December, which is always busy. I went away in March, I went away in June, and right now recording this, we're in July, I'm still only £4 above what I got to down at photo shoot weight. So I've done all this stuff, I've not tracked food in nearly a year properly. I've done little bits and bobs and I've not necessarily lived like a restrictive lifestyle. I've been intentional. I've still been eating good, training hard, making sure that I'm not being greedy and lazy, but I've not been like meticulously tracking food and being really, really conscious. I've just been living normal life. So this shit works and it works pretty well. So if you can nail this part of your diet, I promise you, the cycle of losing and regaining the same weight is done. It's over for good. So if you do have any questions on that, please do let me know in the comments down below. There is a link in the description down below taking you through this process from start to finish, day by day, across the course of the next 30 days, and that is free. You can click the link and download it down below. If you do want to know how long it might take to get in the shape that you want to get into, there's a video on screen somewhere now taking you through that process as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.